The boy asked Sarah to stop, this was too much. The girl reminded him that they were training to become future holy knights, right? They need to work harder. Their efforts would definitely pay off. He wondered if there was any point to this training. Sarah was sure there was. If they practiced hard, they would get stronger. The boy is exhausted. He hoped so. Sarah is his childhood friend. She is kind to him, taking good care of him like a sister. Moreover, she is his only friend. They trained together to become holy knights. Sarah, to his surprise, ate quickly. He asked if she knew how the citizens of Division 4 lived. The girl knew that the people there live in total poverty. They do what they can to survive. But once you turn 18, the gods will determine your class, such as blade master, mage, cleric, farmer, merchant, and so on. This is what they live for, the determination of their rank. However, those who become farmers or merchants cannot become travelers. Combat-oriented classes, warriors, mages. They are strong, and trying to surpass them with mere effort is futile. Sarah swung sharply and almost hit him, but he managed to dodge. The boy didn't realize what she was doing. Sarah was sure that everything would be alright and Lit would get into a strong class. She offered to go back to practicing. However, Lit was still restless. Our days. Guy thought it was like a festival here. Sarah remembered how he couldn't sleep a wink last night. People were recognizing the Duke's son. Since there would be a class division today, they wished him well. The girl noticed someone popular. She was surprised at the large number of people present. Everyone is so serious. But there are also some lucky people who have already obtained a combat rank. And those with ordinary grade look so upset. It was announced that Duke-Ride Wellesley is here. Sarah realized that the boy's father had come. The holy knight who rules this land, Duke-Ride Wellesley. Next to him was a lad unfamiliar to her. Sarah asked who it was. It turned out to be Lita's younger brother, but he was from a different mother. The girl didn't know that. His mom is from the 4th Division. That's why his father doesn't talk about him. However, things will change if he has a top grade. Keith Wellesley was next. As soon as you put your hand on the crystal, the symbol of your class appears. Keith had the symbol of a holy knight, which shocked Leaf. The rank of holy knight is very rare. Only 1 in 10,000 becomes one. There's a chance of getting the same rank as one's parents, but it's slim. However, Keith became a holy knight. The Duke was proud of his son. Keith was surprised that the bastard called him his son for the first time. He had never addressed him like that. He is trying to use him to maintain his authority. But Keith also plans to use his position. Next in line was Sarah Scott. The girl tried to remain calm. It turned out that she, too, was a holy knight. It was Lita's turn. It was announced that he was next. Sarah wished him luck. His father didn't want him to disappoint him. The boy knew that. The holy knight is a rare class. 2 of them manifested on the same day, in the same temple. This is astonishing. But Lit was sure that he too would become one of the knights. He would not lose. The power would be in his hands. He wants to become stronger. What he saw shocked the Archbishop. There was nothing there. The crystal is unresponsive. The boy didn't understand what it all meant. He thought it was a mistake. It couldn't be. Finally, it was announced that Lita Wellesley's class, unemployed. At 18, the gods assign a certain class, but Leith received none. At the Wellesley residence, the maid addressed Mr. Leith. She reported that his name was. The Duke stated that this was the end of their family ties. As of today, Leith is no longer a member of the Wellesley family. He is no longer his son. Keith will now be considered the eldest son. Lit has an hour. He is no longer welcome here. Duke Ride ordered the boy to leave. The men gathered at the bar to toast Sarah. Now she is one of them. Her father was going to pay for everyone's drinks at his own expense. The men called the girl the hero of their town, which embarrassed her. Besides, they marveled that there were 2 knights at once. One of them felt sorry for the Duke. People had such high hopes for the son of the Holy Knight, and he ended up in the unemployed class. His younger brother became a Holy Knight, but was he always the son of a Duke? Lit realized that he needed to find a job first. But what could a classless man like him do? The man at the table saw Lev leaving town. Sarah immediately left them. The men wondered what was the matter with her. She went in search of her friend. The boy traveled on a wagon. He has no class, and therefore no skills either. But in order to survive, he needs money, which he must get without skills. The only thing he can do now is work as a longshoreman. The guy was approached. The men, grinning, suggested he try regular food if he wanted. They doubted the gentleman would like it. Leet found it hard to believe that he was carrying a burden rather than a sword. How pathetic he had become. The boy announced that it was dangerous in the forest. They needed to proceed with caution. At that moment, an enemy arrow struck him in the head. It came from the direction of the brigands. The opponents easily dealt with them. They killed all the attendants. A member of the group asked the boss what about the others. He gave the order to kill all of them. Lit dared to strike the man. He had practiced with a sword for so many years. Just because he doesn't have a fighting skill doesn't mean he can't do anything. But the boss reacted instantly and pushed him away. He was surprised at what an ordinary loader allows himself. The protagonist realized that he might not have a chance, but if he didn't, who? The boss thought he was too annoying. The girl asked her father what class was. The man told her that it was a power granted by the gods upon coming of age. One could say that class determines all future life. Sword masters are good in battle and can protect people. Her dad is a merchant. Farmers are good at agriculture. The girl assumed that Lit is a sword master. He used the skill of physical strength enhancement. His sword appeared to be split. An opponent kicked him. The man concluded why Lit was so weak. He is not a master of the blade. The lad saw that he was strong. He didn't think his life would end this way. The boss announced that game time was over. The girl was scared for Lita, realizing that he was going to be killed. The boy decided to make a second attack. The man was confident that he could dodge such an attack even with his eyes closed. Lit realized that his abilities were not that powerful. His attempt failed again. Lit didn't understand why he was so weak. He heard an unfamiliar voice. The female voice reported that the physical strength enhancement skill had been obtained. The sword enhancement skill had also been obtained. The boss didn't expect Lit to repel his sword attack. Lit deftly struck his opponent's neck with his sword. Seeing this, the other bandit was about to kill him, but Lit was able to deal with him as well. The boy was able to show everyone what he was really capable of. The frightened girl rushed over to Lit. Her father believed they owed their lives to him. If not for him, they would be dead. The merchant was surprised that he had a warrior class all this time. The boy admitted that he didn't, but he did get interested in how he defeated those bandits. All he remembers, when Lit hit him, he felt a skill. Then he heard the voice of the goddess telling him about it. He doesn't know what happened, but is glad he was able to save them. The merchant called him for a word. He wanted to thank him for saving them. The man inquired if he needed any help. For example, financial or some favor. He wants to thank their rescuer. If there is anything he can do for him, let him feel free to speak up. If the merchant is so insistent, Lit wanted to know something, and would be glad if he could help him. The next day, Mr. Augustine was informed of a visit from a fellow who was requesting a review of his class. The archbishop gave orders to disregard, but the servant added that he had a letter from one of his friends, which interested him. After reading the letter, Augustine realized the gist of what was happening. He and this guy have been friends for decades. They haven't seen each other in a while, but he seems to be doing well. Lit was shocked to learn that the merchant's friend would be Augustine, the Archbishop of the kingdom. He called his friend lucky since he had survived such a situation. Lit didn't realize that the merchant was friends with such an influential person. Augustine decided to talk regarding what was written in the letter. It seems that he had been placed in the class of the unemployed. The Archbishop realized that he wanted to be re-examined. Normally they do not do this, but since it was a request from a friend, he decided to start. The guy was grateful to the merchant. Augustine advised him not to have high hopes. This had never happened before. The crystal had not made a wrong judgment. As expected, the class remains the same. After saying that, the Archbishop noticed something strange. Here are the skills of physical strength enhancement and sword enhancement. The old man didn't understand how this was possible since the guy wasn't a sword master. The skills he has can't just appear. In other words, strengthening physical strength and strengthening the sword are martial skills. Neither farmers nor merchants can master them. He doesn't know how, but Lit possesses them. It's surprising that he doesn't have a class assigned to him at his 18. But he has the skills of a sword master, even though he is not. Lit wondered what his strength was. The Archbishop did not know. Augustine called him to come with him. Archive. The boy was surprised at the large number of books. The old man thought there were not that many when compared to the royal library. The Archbishop remembered that someone also had an undefined class. Judging from the records, this person had a hidden ability. He could imitate the skill of his opponent. Lita's ability is the same. He thinks this explains the lack of class. The lad pondered this. The Archbishop understood it all. Lit got the skills after fighting with that bandit. That's where his fighting ability came from. That must be the case. However, some nuances are still unclear to him. Augustine can't help him anymore. He has to figure it out on his own. It was enough for Leith to know that someone in the past had the same problem he had. He wants to learn more about this power, but he doesn't know how to do it. In that case, the boy realized that he needed to become a knight. Lit was successfully registered for the exam. The knight's exam will be held the day after tomorrow. He should make sure he has the application form with him. On the street, the boy was attracted by the yakitori in the man's hands. Lit couldn't resist it and bought it. After trying it, he exclaimed how delicious it was. He realized that this was the capital of the empire. There is hustle and bustle everywhere. Be that as it may, there are so many strong people around. A guy should practice before the exam. He turned his attention to the girl stopped in front of him. She turned out to be Sarah, who had finally found him. Lit didn't expect to see her here. Sarah headed toward him. She threw herself at the boy. The girl tearfully admitted that she was so worried about him. She even thought he might have committed suicide. Lit apologized. He thought they should stand up. Leith was very sorry. She must have been surprised that he wasn't home, so he hadn't even said anything to her yet. He had to work as a longshoreman to make some money, but while doing that, they were attacked by bandits. Sarah assumed he had gotten his skills from one of the bandits, which turned out to be true. Who would have thought he had such power? The girl was happy for him, since he now had skills. Could he pass the knight's exam? Lit confirmed it. Sarah wants him to show her his skills. She suggested he try to crack this cobblestone. The boy wasn't sure he could. Lit used an amplification of physical strength, which surprised the girl. He also used the sword amplification and hit the cobblestone. Sarah recognized that his abilities were very strong. With these skills, he would definitely be able to pass the exam. The girl realized that he still hadn't seen what the Holy Knights were capable of. Lit agreed with that. Then she decided to demonstrate. There was a powerful explosion. The guy was shocked to see the skill of a Holy Knight. Sarah clarified that Lit had gotten his ability when he fought an outlaw. She asked to remove her hand, but the guy didn't understand why. The girl touched his hand with her fist. As a result, he gained the Heavenly Pulse and Heavenly Blade skills. Sarah asked if he had gained anything. Lit replied that it did, but wanted to know if she was sure it was worth it. The girl realized that her power would not be lessened by it. She hoped it would help him pass the exam. The boy was grateful to her. Sarah thought they would be useful to him. She will be waiting for him at the Night Order, the capital of the Empire. The officer knew they had many applicants, but now he sees that none of them are showing any hope. He doubted whether they were ready to become knights. Officer Roger was approached by a girl. He asked her not to call him that. The one who ordains knights, considered to hold one of the highest positions in the kingdom. Not everyone can hold this status, only those with a combat-oriented class. A man came out to the applicants. He introduced himself as Roger, an officer in training, and part-time examiner of them. Everyone has their own reasons for becoming a knight. Power, fame, money. But they don't care about that. Only the truly capable will succeed. Once they pass the exam, they will receive the title of ninth, a status equal to that of a baron. But this is nothing more than their humble beginning. They must climb through the thorns to the stars, and only then will they achieve more. It's up to them. The officer announced the beginning of the exam. They tested each applicant by questionnaires. Next, Lit Wellesley, class not identified. The girl assumed that he had forgotten about it. She informed him that he had not filled in some information on his form. The guy replied that everything was filled out correctly. He was at the ceremony, but his grade remained undetermined. The fact that he had no class caused surprise. Lev was honest about it. The girl did not understand how he would then fight. To be a knight, you need fighting skills like mages and sword masters. Not to mention you need to be stronger than them. And he still wants to be tested without a class. Decided to cripple himself here. Roger and the girl looked at each other. Lit stated that he could fight, he would be fine. His confidence interested the instructor. He made the decision that this kid could participate. A guy volunteered from the crowd and loudly announced that the rules of the night exam were being ignored. Now some simpletons could take the exam. The girl assumed it was Logan Bentley, an aristocrat. The boy was sure that it was impossible for such a weakling with a jobless class to become a knight. Unless he stayed in his place, he'd get a good beating. Leith was allowed to participate. Logan demanded that he not be ignored. Leith apologized. No room left in his brain for unnecessary things. The kid's words had pissed off the nobleman more than a little, and he drew his sword. Roger inquired who had told him that the examination had begun. The officer decided not to let this battle begin. The instructor asked to return to their seats. Logan turned to Leith. The aristocrat looks forward to their battle. Roger, laughing, realized that Leith had a new friend. The girl didn't know what he meant. The officer called for the next one. He realized that this year's exam was going to be interesting. Logan Bentley looks pretty capable, but he's too vain. It's hard to know if he has room for growth. What about Lev? He certainly surprised the officer. No class. He managed to do damage, even with his active physical strength boost. Roger takes that back. This year's candidates are promising. All of the applicants were at. The officer will now explain the rules of the test. The test is a simulated combat. The examiner will give them a grade based on performance. They must remember that the battle is not to the death. They will be wearing rings of divine protection that will prevent tragic events from happening. They can form a barrier and block a certain amount of damage. Whoever strikes through the opponent's barrier wins. He proposed to start. The blocker was announced. Round 1. The fight will be fought by Lit Wellesley. His opponent, Logan Bentley. The aristocrat's friends have backed him. He must show this unemployed man his place. The instructor reminded them of the rings of divine protection. They must fight fair. The aristocrat thought it must suck to be in his shoes. After all, Lita's opponent would be him. And now Officer Roger announced the start of the exam. The opponent immediately used a fiery spear. Lit realized that Logan was a magician. Now the boy is beginning to remember. Bentley's bloodline is made up of mages. Logan directed magic in his direction. The instructor was surprised at his speed. What he saw amazed his opponent. Lit blocked his spells. It was unbelievable. In response, the guy used heavenly enhancement. His strength, magic power, and reflexes increased. Lit couldn't believe that he was able to defend himself against such fast magic. Those present were surprised that the guy was able to shatter the fire spear. Logan recognized that he was good. He has no idea how such a scum can use skills, but Lit can't defeat him. Still, he's already mastered the top-level skills. The aristocrat considered himself a genius. Unlike Lit, the unemployed bastard, he had a great idea. Lit was able to defend himself from his previous attack. Though what about this one? The enemy made a rain of fiery spears. The officer doubted whether the ring could protect him. The protagonist used the divine blade. The aristocrat did not expect to receive a powerful backlash. The resulting explosion pierced the walls of the fortress. Logan thought it was impossible. He didn't understand how the guy could use the holy blade, which is the skill of a holy knight. Why isn't his magic working? What the hell is going on? Why would an unemployed scum like him be able to use the holy knight's skill? More and more anger was building up in the enemy. He advised Lit not to be so overconfident. This wasn't the last of his abilities. The opponent decided to use the dragon's breath. The full power of magic descended on the guy. The instructor used a barrier to defend himself. He saw that Logan was not holding back and might be trying to kill him. The aristocrat was confident that he would win this round. Lit was able to break through his attack. In desperation, Logan began to use his fire spear, but it didn't help him. The lad was confidently going forward. At that moment, the enemy's ring broke. There was a second explosion. The officer announced that Lit Wellesley was the victor. Woman and child attacked by huge bear. In an instant he was decapitated by the girl. Sarah inquired about their condition. The two were very grateful to the mistress. The boy asked if she was a knight, which she confirmed. The child replied that he wanted to be like her. Sarah is sure he will be a fine knight in the future, and so will Lit. At the exam, the winner was announced. Some of the applicants saw the heavenly blade for the first time and couldn't believe it. The attendees talked about Logan being the heir to the prestigious throne. Everyone would recognize his strength, but he was defeated in the blink of an eye. Lit received a fire spear, a rain of fire spears, and dragon's breath. Probably from the moment the guy hit Logan, his skills transferred to him. He didn't understand how Logan was still holding on. This was the first time Lit had used the skills of a holy knight, and he couldn't control them. Lad was glad that the opponent wasn't seriously injured. The instructor wondered what the future held for Lit. He announced the start of the next match. Suddenly Logan asked him to stop, stating that the guy had cheated. He should reset the results. Roger asked him to explain himself. The aristocrat was sure that Lit had faked his class, called himself unemployed, and hid his true power. That's a violation of the rules. He's actually a holy knight who hasn't passed the test yet. If he's a holy knight, he doesn't even need an exam. He's sure the real holy knight is hiding somewhere, helping him from the shadows. That's why he should be disqualified. Lit was shocked to hear such a statement. It's a hackneyed accusation, but the guy might agree with it. An unemployed man with the skills of a holy knight is quite suspicious. The others thought so too. Leith wondered what would happen to him now. He asked Officer Roger about the results of this round. He decided it would be worth holding on to them. Suddenly a girl volunteered who felt it was unnecessary. She turned out to be Princess Iris. Everyone knelt down before her. Lit didn't understand why the Empire's first Princess Lawrence was here. Looking at him, she smiled. It was stated that no unscrupulous actions had been revealed. The princess confirmed that he had no class. However, the heavenly enhancement and heavenly blade skills belonged to him. But there is a person who went against the knightly rules. Iris pointed at Logan Bentley. He replied that he didn't quite know what she meant. The princess reminded him that she had proof, turning to the young lady. These people used conservation magic by helping Bentley during the match. The young lady tried to deny it. Iris couldn't be fooled. She has the skill of evaluation. She had figured out their trick. The princess thinks that punishment should be applied to these people. A person who aspires to become a knight doesn't commit this kind of crime. That was the end of it. She ordered them away. Logan begged the princess to let him explain. The girl happily announced that the case was closed. Everyone around them was surprised. She asked them to stand up. Lit realized that she had arisen like a storm. The princess clarified that his name was Lit. Iris made her decision. By her will, this man would become a member of her royal guard. The princess apologized for her so sudden intrusion. Iris informed her father, Emperor Richard Lawrence III, that she had brought a newly appointed member of the royal guard. Lith did not understand how it was that he was standing before his majesty. The girl asked if it was a problem that she would appoint him as one of their guardsmen. The man present objected. As Iris realized, he meant to say that she couldn't take him. He explained that newcomers were not usually enrolled in the royal guard. There is a certain order among the knights. The one who passes the knight's exam receives the 9th rank. However, only the one who leads all the knights can claim the 1st rank. In addition, only knights of the 7th rank and above can serve in the royal guard. It's clearly stated in their legal laws. The princess understood that it was all true. Guardsmen must be of the 7th rank at least. But is there even a single law that forbids giving rookies the 7th rank? The man hesitantly agreed to this. The princess needs this person to be brought to her. She ordered that this be reported to the department immediately. Iris is counting on Lita. He promised that he wouldn't let her down. She asked the boy not to worry, but she wants him to meet someone. Lita realized that she wanted him to meet the king. The ruler seemed evil to him. The princess told him about Lit's recent duel. The girl tried to calm the boy down. King Richard assumed that Leith was very fond of his daughter since he was a newcomer who was immediately appointed royal guard. The lad felt humiliated. Iris also informed the king that she had chosen Lit as her future husband. I was shocked to hear such a statement. The king realized that his daughter treated him with special reverence. Lit was glad that he was not angry. The ruler shook his hand. Lit felt his powerful aura. He realized that Richard was out for blood. Leith assumed he was going to kill him for having the audacity to ingratiate himself with his daughter. There were various rumors about his majesty. Was he responsible for the defeat of the enemy camp? Leith also heard that he killed a dragon with a single blow. And now this same king has turned his bloodthirstiness on him. The lad imagined all this while shaking hands. Richard, laughing, remarked that he had some incredible strength. The king believed that the past doesn't matter if you have true skill. He would make Leith a duke or even his son-in-law, all because of his power. Richard continued to embrace him. The boy was surprised at his majesty's kindness. The princess replied that her papa had always been a true gentleman. She thought she and Leith would make a great couple. The boy asked her not to joke around like that. The girl let him not call her princess, just Iris. Lit thought he couldn't afford that. The girl replied that it was an order. Lit asked where they were going. Iris remembered that she had not told him. At that time, the knights were practicing on the castle grounds. The girl decided to introduce him to the royal guard. He would serve under her command. Iris almost forgot to warn him. Someone from the royal guard, hunting for her life. The girl turned to the guards to introduce them to the newest member of the royal guard. Lit introduced himself and was pleased to make the acquaintance. The newcomer was also welcomed. Larg was sure that he would not be here for long. He himself is the heir to Duke Vane's family. And who does he represent? After a brief silence, the guy replied that he was just a Lit. He doesn't have a noble background. Larg explained that in order to gain a reputation here, one had to be a distinguished person. He inquired about his order. Lit chose to remain silent. She replied that he had become a knight today, which surprised them. Lit thought the atmosphere became tense. Larg found it hard to believe that he had been appointed today, so he had immediately risen to the 7th rank. Lit knew it. Anyone would have thought so. Larg didn't understand how there could even be a quick promotion to 7th without any confirmation, and with whose permission. The princess replied that it was with hers and asked if there was any problem. Iris decided that if he doubted his abilities, she suggested that he test him. Lit did not expect to hear such a suggestion. Larg agreed. He wants all 10 of them to see what he can do in person. The captain asked him to show more respect for Her Highness. As his captain, he forbids a duel. Larg asked him not to try to stop him. The captain realized that he was wounded now, and not fully healed. If he was so eager to test his skills, he had an idea. The captain himself decided to fight the newcomer. The knight present was surprised that he would see the captain fight. The other girl already felt sorry for this child. It is said that Captain Urs is one of the most powerful royal guards, and he is being considered for the position of future master of the Order of Knights. Iris has confidence in Lita. He has the skills of a holy knight. She didn't think things would escalate into a duel with the captain. The captain stated that the use of any defensive or offensive skills is forbidden. They would fight fair with swords. Of course, they would be wearing rings of defense. Lit agreed to the terms. Their duel begins. The boy decides to strike first. Captain Urs realized he was tough. This was a test of speed. The man didn't realize what his strength was. The captain's sword seemed so heavy. He recognized that the lad was strong. He hates to realize it, but as he watches him, he realizes that Lit is really strong. The captain decides to hit back. He could feel his incredible strength. As a result, Leaf could not resist. Lit realized that he could not withstand the blow. Then he should go on the offensive. As Captain Urs realized, the rookie decided that offense was the best defense. Then he would not hold back. Everyone present watched the boy's powerful punch with great surprise. Lita's sword broke. The boy tried to realize what he had just done. In this battle, the captain has been defeated. At first, he thought he could handle it, but his attack was stronger than he thought. Urs thought he was finished. That was how powerful it was. He ended up using his skill, and he lost. Leet found it hard to believe that he had forced the captain to admit defeat. The kid is strong. There's no doubt about it. It will be very exciting to watch him get stronger. The captain knows it's unexpected, but he has other responsibilities. From now on, the princess will be protected by Lit. It is now his task. Now their task is to escort Princess Iris when she goes to the Grand Duchy of Grawl on a diplomatic mission. Captain Urs said there was nothing to worry about. Knowing Lita and his strength, he's sure everything will be fine. But there are only 3 guards, Larg and Lieutenant Zack. The lieutenant is a dedicated and sincere man. When asked what this workout is for, he explained that he needs to tone his muscles even when he's on duty. He doesn't want to lose to a rookie. Zack informed the rookie that he would be joining him as well. The princess asked Lita if he remembered her saying that there might be a murderer among the royal guards. The truth was that she had gotten secret information about the knight and had put herself in danger. The girl has since lost her trust in the knight's order. She assumes that the assassin may be the second princess, Camilla. Since then, Iris has been worried and needed someone on her side. That's why she chose him. The new recruit has been called for training. The princess wants to tell him something else and has called him to her room tonight. The boy couldn't feel his legs. He went to the princess's room and assumed she must be here. The girl herself dragged him there. Iris suddenly pressed him against her. She suggested that they spend the night together. The princess asked to be quiet. That was an order. Iris was about to kiss him when suddenly there was a knock on the room. The lieutenant asked if something had happened to the princess. He came with urgent news and asked permission to enter. Lit didn't know what he should do in this situation. The girl allowed him to leave. She asked what brought him at such a late hour. He said he had learned from Larg that someone was waiting for them outside. A gang of thieves is about to raid the place. They must find shelter soon. He talked about how there was no time and they needed to run. Approaching her from behind, he drew his sword. Suddenly, Lit came out of his hiding place. He was surprised to see the lieutenant bear his sword in front of the princess. This is treason. Zack thought that if he killed them both, there would be no evidence left. Iris couldn't believe that he was an assassin. The enemy used a stone spear. Lit realized that things were bad. Stone hands grabbed both of them. The princess managed to escape. The lieutenant concluded that the newcomer was not so good. He knows what he will write in the report. Zack entered the scene, saw the slain princess, and then destroyed the enemy. He decided it was time to call it a day. Lit called it a good try, but he wasn't even tickled. Lit destroyed the stone hands. He gained the skills of a stone spear and a stone hand. The lieutenant didn't think he would use his own skills against him. The opponent was grabbed by the stone hand. Following that, the guy used the fire spear. The former lieutenant was defeated in this battle. Iris inquired about his facial wound. Lit replied that it was fine. The girl expected this from him. She decided to pick up where they left off. The battle was witnessed by Captain Urs. The butler has come to see Mr. Ride with a report. It concerns Mr. Leaf. He has recently been appointed a member of the Royal Guard. Rumor has it that he successfully passed the night examination and was immediately promoted to the 7th rank. The angry Duke didn't let him finish. The man was sure that there was some mistake. He is an incompetent fool who has no class, and the butler tells him that he has become a member of the Royal Guard and has reached the 7th rank. He didn't realize what was going on. The butler informed him that he had used the Holy Knight's skill during the exam. Her Highness Princess Iris witnessed it and supported him. Ride called it ridiculous. He asked for an explanation as to how it happened, but the butler didn't know it. My lord asked if Keith knew it, which the butler confirmed. At this time, the lad decided to fight the goblins. He apologized for intruding on their little party. Keith made an attack on the monsters. He skillfully pierced the goblin's shield and killed the goblin himself. Keith didn't understand how this jerk could use the skills of a holy knight. He called bullshit. Must be leading everyone around by the nose somehow. He already has the 7th rank, and Keith still has the 9th rank, the lowest. A guy with no class, who has the skills of a holy knight, and a rank higher than him. He hoped it was a joke. The guy was facing a battle with the most important goblin. He used the heavenly enhancement. As a result of the skill used, none of the goblins suffered this attack. His father decided to calm him down. Lit is an embarrassment of the 7th rank. There is clearly something wrong here. The dueling tournament will be held soon. This is Kit's chance to get the 7th rank. It's for knights with less than 3 years of experience. If you win, the 7th rank automatically becomes his. Duke got his just the same. Keith was confident that in this tournament, there was no way he, a holy knight, would lose. His father asked him to get this victory and surpass Leaf. Captain Urs entered the princess's chambers and inquired about her condition. Lit didn't understand why the captain was here. The man asked him to remain calm. He was on guard the entire time by Her Highness's side. To catch the assassin off guard, he had deliberately kept the number of guards to a minimum. But only at first glance. Since Lit had single-handedly dealt with him, he didn't interfere. The princess joined him and added that they had noticed the lieutenant's suspicious behavior. Lit inquired as to the reason why these men were plotting to kill Her Highness. Urs replied that it was most likely Princess Camilla's plan to seize the throne. Lit remembered that it was Lady Iris's younger half-sister. The princess informed the lad about the tournament that would be held next week. Many respected people of the kingdom would be attending it, and it seemed to her that Camilla would be there too. Guy has realized the complexity of personal relationships in the royal family. Iris asked if he was listening to her. She took his hand. The girl asked the prince to show them his strength and let them realize that no one would block their way. The lad understood her. The streets of the city were crowded with a large number of locals. People cheerfully greeted the main order of knights. They were Claire, Cindy, and Sarah. Lit and the princess noticed the girl. Sarah was surprised to see them together. Iris is glad she came. It turned out that the princess knew Sarah. She once took her into the royal guard. The girl wondered how come Her Highness was together with Leaf. With a grin, Iris told her that she had personally assigned Lita to be part of her guard. The boy recognized that it was because of Sarah's strength. Without her, he couldn't have. If it weren't for her, he wouldn't be standing here today. He owed her a debt of gratitude. The princess assumed that Sarah had some feelings for Leaf. With that question, she embarrassed the girl. To Iris, it all became clear. People didn't understand what was going on here and called it a love triangle. The princess realized that in that case, she and she were rivals. She suggested that Sarah win this tournament and join the royal guard. Then she could be together with Leaf. The princess thought it was a great deal. Suddenly a thief showed up. It was a thief with ice magic skills. People ran away in panic. They prioritized the safety of the citizens. Lit and Sarah headed towards the enemy. He declared that as soon as he got rid of the townspeople, he would start looting. A knight stood before him, prepared for battle. He sees a big lousy fly in the air. His words made the thief more than a little angry. In that case, he decided to start with him. The knight instantly attacked his opponent, which interested Lita. The knight didn't expect otherwise from him. He was asked to stop fooling around, they should go. Lit asked the princess if she knew the man. He turned out to be the sage of the Eastern Knightly Order, Julius Argyle. The Empire of Lawrence, a land defended by elite knights who are known for their martial prowess. As always, geniuses from all over the country gathered this year to showcase their skills at the tournament. This is the dueling tournament of the Lawrence Empire, Polaris Coliseum. The spectators were ready for the tournament to begin. Host Melis Dumas announced that over the years, many heroes had come out as winners in the dueling tournament. The winner would be given the 7th rank. Which of the new knights will receive the title of the strongest? Before they begin, we need to introduce their participants. The guardians of the nation, known to all. They keep the peace of their country, standing at the pinnacle of power, setting the standard for new knights. Captain of the Central Order of Knights, Leona Frost. With the appearance of Captain Leona, the Colosseum overflows with delighted shouts. The hostess has noticed that Leona is so popular. The whole hall welcomes her. And now, the captain of the Western Knighthood, Rigel Radner. A hero who has won every battle thanks to his powerful defense. He asked Leona's opinion. Rigel offered her a bet to see who would last the longest until the end of this round. If he won, they would go out for a drink. Leona ignored him, which he didn't like. Ralph Sullivan offered to bet on him in this bet. He is the captain of the Eastern Order of Knights. Ralph has destroyed every monster that has attacked from the underworld. He always reacts calmly and coolly to any situation. Ralph stated that he is betting on the rookies from his Eastern Knight Club. They have some talented guys. Now, the first princess of the Lawrence Empire, graceful and elegant, a goddess beloved by all for her generous heart. Princess Iris Lawrence. Through her efforts, she maintains peace in the royal capital. The boys present admired her. It was rumored that she had a new royal guard. The Duke didn't understand why Keith, the one to protect her, wasn't here. Kit replied that he had defeated him. Now Melis decided to introduce them to their first opponent. From the Western Knights, with a body like armor, he crushes opponents with his immense strength. Like a volcano ready to erupt at any moment. He is ready. His class tank, Morris Brutus. The audience could feel his power. Morris Brutus. According to Rigel, he is a rookie with great promise. He has proven himself on the battlefield. Whoever the opponent is, he won't be easy to defeat. The host announced that his opponent is from the Center Knights, endowed with powers from a god, a divine gift. She possesses incredible skill. She can be called a prodigy. Lit asked Sarah not to lose. The girl was sure of it. Her class is a holy knight, the rising star of the Center Knights. Sarah Scott. Moderator Melis asked the participants to come forward. She decided to go over the rules. Stepping outside the ring or a knockdown equals defeat. The match may be stopped depending on the situation. To avoid lethal attacks, both fighters will wear protective rings. If the ring is broken or the fighter surrenders, the opponent wins. The priest will now place a protective barrier around the arena. And now for the first round, Western Knight versus Center Knight. The host announces the start. Morris prepared for the offensive. The two men faced off in battle. Maoris was born and raised in a small village between the empires of Lawrence and the Netherlands. They lived peacefully until the day a bloodthirsty tiger attacked their village. The villagers sent word to the Order of Knights for help. They are left to await their arrival. A lad of sturdy build saved the people from possible death by grabbing the tiger's jaws. He asked them to run faster. The rescued people were grateful to him. By this time, the help of the Order of Knights had arrived. Rigel cut the tiger's body in half. He praised the young man and asked his name. The lad introduced himself as Morris Brutus. Rigel marveled at how he had protected the men instead of their order. From that day on, Morris wanted to become stronger like Captain Rigel. He trained harder, joined the Western Knightly Order under Captain Rigel. He will definitely be the winner of this tournament. He's not the same as he used to be. He's stronger now. The girl was the first to strike him. She deftly jumped over her opponent. Sarah used heavenly reinforcement and 1,000 ice flows, followed by a steel citadel. She knocked him off balance and considered it her chance. The steel chariot was used. Sarah removed herself to a distance from the enemy. The contestants awaited each other's next actions. The spectators watched the battle with great attention. The host announced that neither side was giving up, and their strength is at an equal level. Captain Ralph remarked that this battle hammer is so heavy, but he wields it so easily. Although it's difficult, he is facing the Holy Knight. Rigel knew that Morris's considerable battle experience. Ever since he was in the Knight Order, he had never retreated regardless of the monster's strength. He was always on the front lines, protecting his comrades. That was how he accumulated his battle experience. The audience admired the girl. The result of the match is unpredictable. Julius Argyle was getting more and more interesting. Morris addressed the girl rudely, which she didn't like. She reminded him that she had a name. He admitted to Sarah that he liked her and asked her out on a date with him. He fell in love with her after seeing her fight. Sarah didn't know what he meant. The host called it an unexpected twist. Morris confessed his feelings to Sarah. Rigel explained his sudden crush by saying that the Western Knightly Order is all guys. Leona did not like his talkativeness. The princess called it cute. Sarah decided to respond after the match, but advised him not to expect her to be condescending to him. That's what Morris wanted. As a result of the battle, the Colosseum's covering was destroyed. The anchorwoman reports Sarah falling to her knee. Morris knows no mercy. The girl felt pain in her leg. Morris advised her to run if she could. Sarah escaped the blow with a sword. She thrust it into the ground and dodged the attack. Now she counterattacked. Her spinning kick aims for Morris's neck. The opponent has blocked the kick. Morris shows incredible defense. Sarah recognizes that he's good. With that shield, he can block any attack. But her skills are impressive. All Sarah needs to do is destroy that shield. Guy doubted she could. She decided to demonstrate it to him. As a child, Sarah injured her arm again. Her father, Dulles Scott, advised caution and bandaged it. The girl wondered how he was able to break hard rocks with a single blow. He asked her to watch carefully. First, you have to close your eyes and feel the stone. It is made of different minerals. The next thing to do is to find the vulnerable spot. Hit it as hard as you can and it will break easily. Sarah asked what would happen if she failed to find the weak spot. Her father replied that it is even easier then. In that case, one has to keep hitting the same point. Remembering this, Sarah had an idea. We should aim and hit as hard as we can. The girl used the Heavenly Blade skill. As a result, the opponent's shield was crushed. Captain Ralph was sure that such a strong shield shouldn't have broken, so easily succumbed to the Heavenly Blade. Leona agreed with him. Sarah attacked the same place, and after finding a weak spot, she used her sword. Leona realized that it wasn't easy to hit the same spot with such precision. She must have practiced even before joining the order. The princess recognized that Sarah's skills were impressive. She was even more interested in her. Iris wanted her to join the royal order. All of this was watched with excitement by Keith. Morris knew there was a reason he liked her so much. It was the first time he had ever seen something like this. But the real battle will begin now. He's ready. Sarah puts the sword in its scabbard. Is she going to fight without him? But how will she handle Morris? The most interesting part of the battle was just beginning. Morris used a devastating attack that Sarah deftly dodges. The guy was showing more and more of his anger. Rigel saw that Morris was losing his temper. Ralph assumed it was because of the broken shield. His captain knew that the anger had nothing to do with the shield damage. It was all about Sarah fighting him without a sword. He assumed that Sarah was deliberately provoking him. Morris tried to keep his cool. Sarah was doing an excellent job of dealing with his attacks. This continued for some time, further annoying his opponent. Morris asked, pulling out his sword already. He thought she was mocking him. The girl heeded the request and pulled it out. She felled her opponent to the ground. Those present awaited the next action with surprise. Sarah climbed on top of Morris and leaned her sword against him. She replied that as he wished. The boy agreed with her. The hall cheered. Host Melis announced the end of the match. In the first round, where Sarah and Morris were the opponents, Sarah won. Rigel recognized that Leona's subordinate was really strong. Her strategy was great. She kept her sword in the scabbard, provoking Morris with it. And afterward, she took advantage of the moment and counterattacked him. He called it the perfect plan. However, if her tactics had not worked, she would have been seriously injured. He thought that Leona was able to discern Sarah's talent when she first joined the knighthood. Leona knew that in fact Sarah had only joined because she was a holy knight. She knew nothing about her skills. Leona avoided answering. Morris inquired whether Sarah Scott would accept his offer. The girl began to shake. He asked if she had forgotten. Sarah denied it, although she had in fact forgotten. The guy wanted to hear her answer. The girl apologized. He was surprised that she answered so quickly. Morris thought he wasn't strong enough for her. Sarah looked in Lita's direction and admitted that he wasn't at all. It's just that she already likes someone. The announcer announced that Morris was out. Not only had he lost the match, but he had lost his love. Sarah turned to Lita and asked if he had seen her fight. She had won. The boy was asked why he was here. The father demanded an answer as to why Lita was here.